couple of Fujoa trees that we have around our property. Good to be here with you again today. There are situations that impact us in different ways. We've been having a lot of fine weather and that's been great for some of us, but there are some people that would prefer a little bit of rain right now. My mind goes back to a number of months ago where the Australian farmers were suffering terrible drought in New South Wales and needing to get a lot of government assistance and other NGOs assistance to try and keep their farms afloat and keep their livelihood intact. It was very, very hard for them. And then on top of that, soon afterwards, just before spring and summer kicked in, they had those terrible fires that devastated the entire east coast of Australia. Now we might consider that people lost their livelihood and the economy took a big hit and a lot of families suffered losing their homes and townships suffered losing their opportunities to keep themselves economically viable. But there was a greater toll that isn't often told. And that was the toll related to the number of people that took their lives because they were so overwhelmed with grief and the loss at being able to continue the businesses that they had begun. Something that's not often talked about, but it needs to be talked about more often. These statistics are real, they are people. And unfortunately, they've often been left unaccounted for. Suicide hits all of us, and I imagine that some of us either have been directly impacted within our families because of it, or we know someone that has been. I know here living on the east coast of the North Island of New Zealand, our suicide rates are some of the highest in the world. So it does make a difference. It is a reality that we need to face and do something about. Even in my own personal life, I lost a brother-in-law a number of years ago. Maybe what I should say today is that we need to be a little bit more careful about how we listen to people, that we take note of what they say, at hints that don't make sense to us, but that we should be considering what they have actually told us a little more carefully. We should watch with our eyes, listen with our ears, pay attention to each other and see how each of us is faring in this particular time. My brother-in-law had a beautiful job, marvelous job, the job he wanted. It was his dream job. And yet, underneath all of that exterior bravado and having achieved his goals, something wasn't quite right. Even today, I feel a tinge of responsibility for not having listened to him when he shared with me that he may not see us in a couple of months' time for that celebration. Struck me as odd at the time, but I didn't pay too much attention to it until it was all too late. So the message today is, let's pay attention to each other and really listen deeply so that we can pick up anything that might not be just right. Today I'm quoting from scripture and I'd like you to do what is right. It's 1 John chapter 2, verses 28 and 29. And before I do my 25, I want to throw out a challenge, another challenge to one of my good friends. I know that he's really keen on looking after himself and his family, his physical and mental health. So Rusi, Milamumu, my friend, I hope that you can take up this challenge and make a few more people aware of what's going on behind the scenes, behind closed doors. So let's do the 25, 1 John chapter 2, verses 28 and 29. And, my dear children, you must remain close to the faith. Stay true to the faith. Continue in the faith that you have in God, so that at his appearing, we may all be confident and unashamed as we stand before God at his coming. If you know that God is right, then you will also recognize and know those that do right, for they shall be God's true children. There really isn't much of an effort to listen to each other a lot more closely and to look carefully at how everybody else is doing, especially when it comes to the members of our own family. We should really be paying extra attention, and if we're not sure, let's talk about it with someone else who may be able to help us identify what might be happening for this person. We don't want to be separated. The tragedy is much harder to take. The ongoing fallout is much harder to carry. It's better that we act sooner rather than later. You have a great day and a good night, and we'll wait to see you tomorrow morning.